Alright, so today we want to talk about connecting and converting our customers. So we're going to walk through three tactics to connect and convert. The first one is called SOLO-MO, which stands for social, local, and mobile. We're going to talk about lead nurturing and lead conversion. So as we started and talked about integrated digital marketing strategy, it's one of the most critical ways to convey and promote your brand message to your particular audience. So we want to amplify our content and our message. We want to project authenticity and transparency on our social platforms. And we want to foster long-term connections with prospects and existing customers. There's a lot of businesses that I follow on social media and keep up with regularly because I'm super interested in the content that they're posting or the products that they're selling or changing out. So think about brands that you interact with. It doesn't have to necessarily be on a daily basis, but perhaps it's a weekly basis that you're always interested in what they have going on. And that's something that you can really model yourself after, your business after, your product, as to, okay, they're doing it really well and here's why I find it intriguing. So put yourself in those shoes and really think about it from that perspective. We want to be able to utilize social advertising in the involvement stage when closing in on relationships with our customers. So early on in our social media strategy, in particular if we're a new business, we can start building those relationships from day one and making them authentic. There's good ways to do that. It can include things like product webinars, case studies, any data and sheets you want to share. Perhaps it's free demos. These are all things that we can do early on in the involvement stage. And we can also include social advertising within that as well, some of the paid media platforms, in order to start building relationships and getting more prospects from our social sites that we run. In terms of search and social and thinking local about our social platforms, we want to look into localized keywords. So these are going to be terms that we focus on in our area. So again, referring to our Once Upon a Child in Traverse City, Michigan, we look at terms like children's resale clothing, Traverse City. We look at terms like children's clothing, Traverse City. So start thinking about like Northern Michigan related localized keywords to draw people to our business. We also want to make sure that we register our business with Google. This is something that you want to do early on. So if you are a brick and mortar business and your opening is in 3 months, you want to get that in Google's hands right away. There is a registration process. Sometimes they even ask for like your EIN or like business address information from the post office even. So that you get your listing correct on Google Maps. Again, we use this actually in addition to get reviews and recommendations once we get that listing up on our business page. It helps contribute as well to local search engine rankings. So again, we want to get that going up and running right away. One thing to note too when using Google, so say I type in Once Upon a Child Traverse City and it shows up, but then I type in a search then I type in a search children's clothing Traverse City and my store doesn't show up on the map. Well, what I can actually do is if I scroll down all the way through those listings that you'll see, there might be 10 or 15. When you scroll down, you'll see in the bottom that if there's a little thing that you can click on that says missing a listing or a business that you believe is missing, you can actually click on that and then put in the info of the business that you believe should be on there. So again, when you're starting a new business, that's something you're going to want to look at and play with the search to make sure that you can register all those kind of terms so that, again, when the user's typing into Google Maps to find a local kids clothing store, that our store shows up. Again, we want to be able to integrate mobile, so that can include things like apps, advertising, website, search, and social, all through a mobile device. What I want to talk about in particular, because we've covered some of these other ones, is apps. I think it's really easy for businesses to get caught up in, oh, we need an app, when that's not necessarily the case. I am very into apps that are used regularly, and by regularly, I mean that could be like a bi-weekly type service. Think about your own mobile device, for example. How many apps do you have on it, and how many would you say you use on a daily basis, and how many would you say you use weekly? Most of us actually use only 4 to 5 apps on the regular. So for me, if I look at my mobile device, that generally includes my Facebook, my web browser, whatever streaming service I use for music, and in addition, I would say the Starbucks and Uber app I use regularly. So that's it. And there's obviously millions upon millions of apps available in the App Store. What I would say is, if you know you have a very loyal brand following and you can integrate things like mobile pay into that platform, then that's great. Obviously, Starbucks app, a lot of people use it. It's been one of the #1 top apps for a while in the app stores. But people go to Starbucks regularly, so they use the rewards programs on it, the bonus stars, all that good stuff, and they pay through their device. They can order in advance through their device. So again, don't just have an app to have an app. Think about, one, what kind of value can you add to the consumer through the app? Does it make it more convenient for them? Are they going to use it? Because they're not cheap to build and moderate and update and run. So we want to make sure that we get the most out of these platforms. So I'll be kind of conscious in your marketing plans. If you're recommending an app development, really give me the reason behind why you think that should be. All right, lead nurturing. So timing behind lead nurturing is generally a really important thing. And not just timing when we put our content out there and post our media, but timing around when you are ready to act upon that lead. So if you're opening a brick and mortar store, for example, early on we can start gathering leads for our email database and our text messaging database. So we can generally do that a few months in advance from opening. But if we're gathering leads for a product that maybe is a 1.5 years away from launch, people may not be as ready to, one, give us their information, but two, as time goes by, they could be disappointed that we haven't released that product yet. So you have to think about timing on this. The other thing is calls to action are important. So what do they get out of interacting with us? In particular, what do they get out of giving their personal information to us, in the form of an email or a phone number or both? We can kind of increase this value by offering premium content to them. For example, a lot of food and beverage places, if you give their phone number or register for an email, we'll send you a text or an email for like a free appetizer or a buy one get one or something of that nature. So that's a good way to, one, get a new consumer, but also add them to your database. This last slide, obviously there's a lot of text on it, but I think it's really important to go through. There's a lot of CRM softwares out there. There's a lot of software as a service platforms out there that we can utilize. I would say what's best for you is sometimes to do with what your business is, who you're selling to, and how you're keeping track of it. So there's different platforms and different niches that are better than others. So you're really going to want to play with and experiment with what's best for you. A lot of these software service platforms offer free trials, so definitely take advantage of those and get to use the platforms before you end up shoveling a lot of money out to purchase them. So first you want to look at customer data management. Usually we're going to want a searchable database to store customer information and any relevant documents. We want to look at interaction tracking. And that's a way to know the full history of interactions your brand has had with a particular customer. So this can include things like phone calls, emails, social media, public venue interactions, things of that nature. So again, there are some brands that are really good at this. Amazon, Neiman Marcus, generally some of the big retailers are much better at this sort of tracking. So again, this kind of depends on what your product and service is and what's appropriate for you. You want to look at engaging relationships. So any real-time engagement with the customers that we can have. This could be in the form of chat bots on our website or even on social media platforms that we could look at to make more engaging real-time relationship with them. There's workflow automation software. So there's a lot of automation softwares, particularly for digital content and social media content. One that comes to mind that a lot of people use is Hootsuite, and they have offerings from a free platform all the ways up to enterprise software. And there's different variables and different price points for different platforms. So that's something that you can look at for sure. And then lastly, any reporting tools. So these are how do we track performance and productivity. This can include revenue or acquired contacts or how many times somebody's downloaded our premium content. So we want to make sure that we have a reporting tool, or if we're on a budget, a way to allocate all of our reports into one place. So that's kind of the short stick of that presentation. Again, I encourage you to follow up with me if you have more questions, any research that you found insightful, or any articles. Feel free to post them in the discussion board. Email me or call me if you need me. Okay, thanks.